I don't know exactly when it arrived. That's the honest answer. It didn't come in through the front door and answer itself. It settled in quietly, the way cold settles into an old house, through the gaps gradually, until one day you realize the whole place has a chill you've stopped noticing. For 20 years something lived in this house that I never named out loud. It started, I think, around 1985. Maggie had gone back to work at the library part-time, small thing, reasonable thing. The children were in school, the extra money helped. She was good at it, and it made her happy in a way I noticed without fully acknowledging. But I had grown up watching my mother organize her entire life around my father's schedule, and I had absorbed, without knowing I'd absorbed it, an idea of how a household was supposed to be arranged, who was central to it, who adjusted. Maggie adjusting less bothered me in ways I never said plainly. I didn't argue. I wasn't a man who argued much. I made small comments, came home to a dinner that wasn't ready and said something brief and cutting that I'd have called honest at the time, offered to help with things in a tone that made the offer feel like an accusation, went quiet in ways that filled the room more than shouting would have. Maggie absorbed all of it. She was good at that, too good probably, because her absorbing it meant I never had to reckon with it directly. The resentment shifted shape over the years. By the late 80s, it wasn't about the library anymore. It had attached itself to other things. The way the money was spent, the way she handled Daniel's discipline differently than I did, the way she had friends and conversations and an interior life that didn't always include me, which I felt as a kind of abandonment I had no right to feel and felt anyway. I never asked myself where the resentment came from. That would have required a kind of honesty I wasn't capable of then. It came, I think now, from my own unhappiness, the slow accumulation of unlived things, the sense that my life had narrowed without my full consent, and Maggie was simply the nearest person, the one who had to live with whatever I carried and couldn't put down. That's not a small thing to do to someone. She never fought back hard. Occasionally she'd say something direct, quietly, without anger. In that way she had. And I'd feel the accuracy of it land and immediately build a wall against it. I was skilled at finding the flaw in her argument that let me dismiss the truth underneath it. I was very skilled at that. There was a night in 1993. I don't remember what started it. Something small, something domestic, the kind of thing that shouldn't survive the evening. But I said something that went further than I meant to, and Maggie went very still. And then she said, I don't know who you're angry at, Eldon, but it isn't me. She went to bed. I sat here at this table. She was right. I knew she was right the moment she said it. The anger wasn't at her. It was at the Boston job I hadn't taken, the book I hadn't written, the version of myself I decided wasn't practical enough to pursue. It was old and had nothing to do with dinner not being ready, and everything to do with choices I'd made and quietly blamed her for because she was present and those choices weren't. I didn't apologize that night. I went to bed, and by morning we had both moved on in the way long married people move on, not resolving things, just stepping over them and continuing. We stepped over a lot of things for a lot of years. The resentment didn't leave when I retired. I thought that removing the work and its pressures would clarify things, ease things. For a while it did. The first years of retirement were softer between us, but old habits of feeling don't dissolve with a change in schedule. I still caught myself sometimes, a sharpness in my voice that had no good reason, a withdrawal that punished her for things she hadn't done, and then she got sick, and then she died, and the resentment had nowhere left to go. That's the part one wasn't prepared for. Grief and resentment mixing together in a way I couldn't separate, missing her completely, and also, underneath that, the unfinished business of 20 years of a feeling I'd never properly examined. You can't resolve things with someone who is gone. You can't apologize into empty air and have it received. I tried anyway, still do, sometimes in the kitchen at night when it's quiet. What I know now, what I wish I'd understood in 1985 when the chill first started coming in through the gaps, is that unexamined resentment doesn't punish the person you aim it at, not mostly. It punishes the marriage, the warmth of it, the ease. You wake up one day and the house that should feel like the safest place you know has a chill that's been there so long everyone has simply dressed for it. Maggie dressed for it for 20 years without complaint. She deserved a warmer house than I gave her,